Okay, welcome everybody. Most of you probably know Lana Realtor Diva here tonight, and I'm excited. I've been like in the house for days working. If there's some agents in here that understand, like I've been in the same pajamas for like 3 days, so nice to be out in real clothes and see everybody. The real estate world is crazy. You don't have to be an agent to know that. So we are here to do what's called I'm naming it creative financing. We're not doing any illegal financing, but just ways that we can maybe get this interest rate that we're all combating right now and maybe down a little, or what works for you guys. Also having money in your pocket. We want to try to save as much of that in this market right now too. So getting money in your pockets or keeping money in your pockets and having money to close. Natasha is the queen of 203K. I know she's going to touch on it because that is her area of expertise. And I will say on the camera, there is no other lender that can do that. She does it the best. So we have used her, of course, that's why we're here. And I want you guys to ask any questions. Like you said, this is being filmed. So if they're personal, let's keep it to the end. But if you guys have things that are going to help everybody, don't be embarrassed because your question is probably something that somebody else has too. We are Exit Strategy Realty. I should say that. Nick is here, our proprietor, I like to call him. And so he is here with us tonight. He'll give you a little introduction into what Natasha is going to do. But the first step is coming here for any of the people that are thinking of buying or investing. I don't know if we want to, we know we got agents in the room. You're an agent too? Are you an agent? No. So we got consumers, we got agents. So I guess if everybody could just say like maybe something you want Natasha to touch on real quick. And if you're a consumer or an agent, I know, but everybody doesn't. So you want to start? Exit.
Hi, I am a consumer and an agent, and I would love to learn about creative financing for myself and my clients.
Cool. This is one of my clients from back in the day.
Hello, I know Lana from buying my first home. At this point,
First home?
Yeah, my first and only. But
And how many years have you been there?
I think I'm almost 4 now.
Yes. Don't tell how old I am in the business. Okay.
Love Lana. So something I would like to touch bases on is about buying property as far as having to rehab it. How do you get funding for stuff like that? So that's something I would like to talk about.
She also, I'm going to talk for her, is interested in maybe buying commercial in the bottom because she was thinking about doing a business,
Yes.
correct? And then having the upstairs pay for the bottom, right? Or
Yes.
vice versa. They can rent it out either way. Okay, welcome.
Well, hi, I'm a consumer as well. I'm almost in the same situation. I'm trying to purchase investment property, like mixed unit, like residential and business at the bottom.
Okay, and are you trying to live in it or just live somewhere else?
Well, I already have my own home, but I'm trying to do something on the
Okay,
side.
because there's a difference, so in an amount down. So Natasha can touch on if you live in it and if you do not, okay? Anything you want us to touch on today?
I'm interested in the creative financing. I am a broker and consumer.
Okay, cool.
Creative financing.
Welcome, consumer. What's your name?
Tracy.
Okay,
Yes. And I'm a consumer, and I'm here just to learn what you all have going on and about creative financing as well.
okay, cool. Welcome. How you doing?
Edna,
Yes.
I'm here to assist, hopefully to assist clients in this creative financing.
Okay, cool.
Along with this young lady here.
Oh, yes, thank you for bringing us.
Hopefully, trying to give her an investment piece of property which she can live in.
Investment is where we need to go because that's gonna go on and be good, right? And bring you money. Someone is always gonna rent. I don't care where, someone is going to rent. I have them and it brings me income. It's helping me in this time. So income like that is always good to have.
I'm Darian, I'm an agent. I would like to hear about construction loans, just because we do have a low inventory of quote-unquote move-in ready properties, and also down payment assistance to help my clients find the money.
Right, right. And that's what Natasha, who's gonna be coming up, is really good at, because if you can't find what you, because we're going against 1 million agents and we're going against 1 million other people, that's a way of finding something that you can make your own with that financing that she has. It takes a little patience, right? Those take some patience, because you gotta work with contractors. They're hard sometimes, but in the end, you get what you want. So, and it's a way to get in sometimes when we can't. I'm gonna let Nick come up and talk about our plan for tonight.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, at home and here in the audience, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. We appreciate it. Lana and Victoria, thank you very much for putting this together. They are event masters, and everybody from Accessory Realty. This is a multi-part series because you don't just roll into one home buyer seminar and buy a property. And you don't roll into one investor seminar and buy your second property. It takes time, it takes effort, and you will mess up along the way. As someone that's been doing this for 25 years, I started out as an agent investor and did not think that I was going to be literally doing this for the rest of my life. But here I am 25 years later. It is my passion. I love doing this. Lana and Victoria love doing it. Natasha loves doing it on the lending side. These are extremely well-versed people in the industry. What we know right now in the industry is that it is an interesting time for agents and loan officers alike. It's an interesting time for the consumer. But we also know that you buy real estate and wait. You don't wait to buy real estate. And let me tell you from my own example, I try to lead by example, and sometimes I screw up by example. And how that is my home I bought at the bottom of the market. I timed it perfectly. I stalked that property. I got it, I did it right, done deal. My office space, I did the opposite. I was my own worst client. I said, well, I'm gonna go rent this space for now because I don't know what I want, and I gotta fix some stuff on my credit, because I did, and I had to earn more money. And so I sat in an office space, some of you know that office space, 2235 West North Avenue, for 12 total years because I got too busy. I had other things to do. I will get to that later. I'm waiting for prices to drop. I said that to some of you that were in coaching sessions with me, and they're like, when are we moving? I'm like, I'm waiting for prices to drop. I'm waiting for the interest rates to drop. You know what dropped? My money into someone else's bank account, because that nice landlord has gotten over $1 million of my money. I paid down their mortgage. I've helped fund their retirement, and I had nothing when we cleaned out that last bag and box out of 2235 West North Avenue. I don't regret the time. We launched 4 offices out of that. However, I regret my personal delay in doing what I needed to do in getting into a situation where I owned the building. And so that's my passion for you today is, yeah, I bought my house. I didn't buy my building. And so I have a guest that asked to have this recorded, as did some of you and some of the people at home that are catching this later. Dr. Chiropractic, that's saying, well, maybe I should do a mixed use building. So my question will be for Natasha, mixed use building, do you live in it? Do you not live in it? What's the difference? Because mixed use is different from an apartment building, but this person's gonna want to have their office on the first floor and maybe potentially live upstairs. So we got a lot of questions out there we're excited about tonight. My part of this is I want to encourage you to stay engaged with your exit strategy realty agent. We have something called Project X, and Project X is a little bit of a skin enhancement on top of the exit formula that allows you to plan better, strategize better, have some more technology and tools. We have a beautiful new thing, digitized agent business plans we just introduced and launched today. And there's going to be a consumer version of that. Nobody knows that yet. Because we realize that if you are gonna buy a building, whether it's your first home, I call that mattress money. You're sleeping there and literally you are putting money in your pocket by sleeping there and paying down on that mortgage note. It's hopefully gonna appreciate over time. It's definitely, you're gonna pay down that note on that mortgage versus, again, doing what I did with that office space and putting money in someone else's pocket. But I don't want you to just have mattress money. I want you to turn back around and say, what is my 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year plan to get mailbox money? What's mailbox money? Money checks are coming in, or Zells, Venmos and Quick Pays and Cash App, if you will, for these other properties that you own that are cash flow, so because you would then getting multiple income streams. You have to plan for that. It doesn't happen overnight. There is no quick money in real estate, period. But Natasha's gonna show you some stuff tonight that are proven ways to get this done. But I know there are 4 things that are holding us back. Number 1, commitment. Reason or importance of this. What's the reason or importance of this? Well, I'll tell you this. Where else can you go and you can put money in your pocket just by sleeping in a place or just by going to your mailbox? It's not quick money, it's not easy money, but it's real money while you actually still probably have a 9 to 5. Secondly, thing holding us back, credit. If you've got to fix your credit, you are not alone. I have built and tore down my credit so many times, I think I'm a bricklayer, because I'm an idiot sometimes. But I know how to build it back, and I know you can build it back too. So if you're at home and you're saying it's not possible, it is possible. It is, in a lot of cases right now, easier to get a mortgage than it is to get a rental. Because these landlords are saying, I want a 700 credit score. What's your lowest credit score, Natasha?
580.
580. I can't get anybody into an apartment right now, anywhere near where I'm working, at a 580. No, no ma'am, no sir. So credit, let's fix your credit. It takes some time. It's gonna take a plan. Income. Income means money coming in the door. Now, there are those loans for the multi-unit buildings where they're just looking to say the building covers its own costs, but for the rest of us, we gotta have a job. Maybe we've not been in that job a long time. We've got a gig economy side job or a 1099 or a business that's just started. We gotta take some time to get that going. And then last but not least, money. Yes, these are actually all different things. Money means the money down. And that's why we're here with Natasha tonight. You don't need 20% down in a lot of cases. There are grant programs. There's money from the seller. There's gift money. There's low money down. There's no money down for VA. There's all different kinds of options. So what are your roadblocks? Is it you? We can fix that with your motivation. Is it the system? We can fix that with knowledge and education. And that's why we're here tonight. But if you don't have mattress money and you don't have mailbox money, you are doing yourself and your family a disservice, because that is the easiest way to build generational wealth and truly change the way we work and live in our communities. So thank you very much for having me, and I'm looking forward to listening to Natasha.
Good evening, everyone. So my name is Natasha Robinson. I am a branch manager loan officer at Guarantee Rate Affinity. We are at Guarantee Rate Affinity, so thanks for joining us. We put this office together so we can educate everyone on home ownership and grow together and collaborate together. So I listened to your openings and we talked about a lot of different things. We have some people that want mixed use. We have some people that own some property that's looking to get into another property. We have some people that don't own, which is awesome because we have multiple programs. Now, the way the programs work is there are a lot of them. So quickly, I just want to talk about getting started into your loan process, okay? So first thing first, you want to talk to mortgage professionals. I have at least 100 clients who have thought about purchasing a home, and they asked everyone in their family who has never owned a home, and they got talked out of it and delayed and delayed. Oh, you have to put 20% down. Oh, you're never gonna get it. Oh, you have to have a certain credit score. If you didn't get your information from a licensed realtor or a licensed loan officer, keep asking. And if a loan officer the first time didn't tell you what you wanted to hear, ask a few other loan officers at different companies just to make sure that the information that you are getting is adding up to the same information. So with that being said, as Nick mentioned, we can purchase with a 580 credit score, 1 to 4 units with 3.5% down. That does include mixed-use properties. What is a mixed-use property? A mixed-use property is when you have commercial units in the property and you also have residential units. Well, FHA, which is the government, allows you to put 3.5% down, and yours is gonna be a little tricky if you're going to live in the property, number one. Number two, it can't exceed 4 units. And number three, 51% of the square footage of that property has to be residential square footage. Now, with that being said, when you purchase a multi-unit property, we can use the rental income from the other units, right? So if you was purchasing a 4-unit property, all residential, I can count market rents. If they're renting it to Auntie Sharon for $500, I can still use the market rent if it's $1,200 for that unit to help you qualify. On that mixed use property, if that storefront is not rented, then we just have to qualify for the property for the rents that the property is actually getting, not the storefronts. So with that being said, we can do it, but I know the young lady, you own a property already. So if you want to do mixed use property, you really want that to be your first purchase. So whenever you're purchasing property, as Nick talked about, building generational wealth, you can do what's called house hacking. House hacking just means that you purchase a property and you live in it for at least 1 year and you actually live in it. At that mixed use property, they'll believe for your first property, you're gonna have storefronts at the bottom and then you're gonna have some apartments at the top. But if you already live in a beautiful single family home and you have your big backyard and your dog, they're not gonna believe that you're gonna move to this mixed use property with a commercial space. Most likely, you're probably just telling them that because you don't want to put the investment down payment, which is 25%. So if you really want to do the mixed use properties with the lowest down payment, then you want to get into that property the first time around. Now, there are other options for you, such as, you know, if you were saying, hey, I'm selling my house, I'm gonna buy the mixed use property, then that won't be a problem. Or, you know, say for instance, the mixed unit property, the units are much better than your house. So say for instance, your house square footage is 900, but your apartment is gonna be 2,000 inside this mixed use property, then that may be a reason how we can go ahead and try to see if we can convince the underwriter that they will get that deal done for you.
Can they rent and
Can they rent?
their house out?
So the question was, can you rent your house out? So the answer is yes, but you're still gonna have an occupancy issue because if you live in a house and you want to buy a 4-unit with commercial space and tenants, most people don't want to go from a loan to that unless, say for instance, your kids are going to college and you were married and now you're single. So you have to have some type of change to make it make sense. But FHA takes that as a case-by-case scenario. So they're going to listen to what we call a letter of explanation. You will hear your loan officer call it a LOX. We like to talk in the mortgage slang real fast. But if you will write your letter of explanation and you get to present your own case to the government and ask them if they will allow it, from my experience, it just can never be for money. So you can't say, I want to move out my house to the building because I'm going to make more money from the tenants. Because the government isn't invested in your financial situation. They're invested in allowing you low down payment so you can actually own a home. Now, we said a lot, and I talk fast. We talked about house hacking. We talk about mixed use. So let me know if you guys have any questions. And it's okay. There is no such thing as a bad question. I'm the one to ask.
What was house hacking again?
So house hacking is when you live in a property for 1 year, and then you can go to the next property. I am a house hacker. I purchased my first property. It was a 4-unit. I lived in it for a couple of years. I put 3.5 or 5% down. And then after living there, I moved to a 2-unit. Put 5% down on my 2-unit. Then I bought my house, and then I put 5% down on my house. So I was able to buy 3 properties over 4 years, 5 years time span with the least down payment. So you have to figure, for all my young people watching on the video, if you come in and you purchase your first building, it's a 4-unit, like my little brother did, you live there for 1 year. My little brother, I convinced him he wanted a condo downtown. I convinced him to buy this 4-unit property on 58th and Prairie. He purchased that building. He lived in that property for 2 years. He moved out of his 3-bedroom apartment and went him and got an apartment down in South Loop for $1,500. And now his building has over $100,000 of equity, and he's, you know, younger. You know, so with that being said, if you're just getting started, you can end up purchasing 3-4 properties with very little money down. And time you get ready to retire, now you have 4 paid in full properties plus your 401k, and your wealth is just continuing on and continuing on and continuing on. So house hacking is the most amazing tool out there, but many people think that when they buy their first house, they want the dream house. They want the big bells and whistles. First time around, I'm running for it. 1 year after that, they buy that house, they want a multi-unit. So with that being said, we're gonna do whatever you want, but if you want to be a savvy investor, you buy that 3 to 4 unit property, you put 3.5% down, and Nick was in the back talking about closing cost credit. You have the seller pay your closing costs, You can get into a down payment assistance situation, which we're about to talk about because I know what everyone came for. And then you get into that property with very little money down. When we close on your property, everybody that's closing this month in October, their first payment is in December. So if you purchased a 3-unit property and the other 2 units were rented, you are gonna get 2 months rent before you even have a mortgage payment due, which is gonna pay you back some of the money you put down immediately in the door. Now that doesn't work for everyone because sometimes you have to rent your apartment, but that's why you get with your realtor, that's why we're here today, so that way you guys can plan, accordingly, so that way you can get the best deal for you and your family at the best time. Did anyone have any other questions? But good question. I got a little confused. Okay. Okay, you said I do that to people. you said you bought your first home and then you went into your second and your third, but you also was explaining how it's kind of hard to get that second home and get the down payment so low without them saying, hey, how you gonna have 2 properties? Is that FHA?
So that's a good question. So the property that you bought 4 years ago, and congratulations again, did you purchase a 1, 2, 3, or 4 unit?
House, a single
Okay.
family.
Okay,
house.
so you purchased a house. So if you wanted to buy a mixed use, meaning I'm gonna have 2 storefronts to start your business, they probably won't believe that you're gonna move out of your house to move into this building. Now, if you had bought the 4-unit first, and then you came back and bought the house, then you would be putting 3% down on the house, and you would have put 3.5% down on the mixed use. Now, it depends on the mixed use. The answer to the question is if you are really gonna live there, like in real life, then it will probably get approved because your letter of explanation will make sense to the underwriter. You know what I'm saying? So that's that situation. But if your current home is already a FHA, you can only have 1 FHA property at a time unless you're moving 100 miles away or if you have expanding family. So say for instance, you live in your house and it's a 3-bedroom and it's FHA and you buying this mixed use and the apartment is a 5-bedroom and more square footage and now you have a fiance and he has kids and you joining your families together, you have expanding family, so you would be an exception to the rule. That has only happened 2 times in my career for like a 20-year career, but it is a guideline that can happen.
Question for you on that. Does expanding family include like a parent that may need?
Yes, it does. Anything expanded. You could have adopted someone. You could have, like one of the young ladies that work here, she had to start raising her sister's child. That's expanded family. So whatever it is, just not animals. You can't get 3 extra puppies and have expanded family. But anything, you had to take care of your mother. You got to take care of your sister and her family. Anything expanded family. But once again, it's case-by-case scenario. So you would have to present that there. Now for you, because you bought your house 4 years ago, you probably have a lot of equity. So in your particular situation, we could probably refer you to get a line of credit. The line of credit means that you keep your low interest rate, because if you did 4 years ago, you're probably about 3% or 4% on an interest rate, where interest rates today are in the 7s, high 7s. So you can get a line of credit in your equity, and you can take that equity and put 20 to 25% down on the mixed use. And also SBA has loans for you where they do 10% down. So there are still some options for you. We just have to get you on the console and be strategic and get you through that process. But SBA has some investor options as well that I just learned about that they're doing for clients as well. So I'm not saying it's over for the road, but it will probably be difficult for you to put 3.5% down. Now, if you were expanding and you were buying a new house and Lana was selling your house, then we could have sold your house and bought that, and then it would be believable because you don't have your house anymore. Okay?
How many miles was it that you said?
100. So yeah, so that would, most likely at least to Michigan or Wisconsin or something.
I think that question probably helped a lot of people.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I know I talk fast, so if you guys have questions, I get excited, y'all. I get excited about this. Did anyone else have any questions? Okay, so next we're gonna talk about the down payment assistance programs. So right now at Guarantee Rate, we have 3 down payment assistance programs that we are offering. Yes, Ms. Darnisha?
Mine was about that, but it was another product, a conventional product for primary residents. We talked about FHA. I think that's 3.5%, but it's conventional comparable for primary residents, meaning that there's more benefits, maybe no PMI or something. for that particular buyer?
I love my agents that know their program. So she was saying that I'm in here talking about FHA, and I forgot to tell you guys that we also offer conventional loans. And with a conventional loan, you can do 1, 2, 3, or 4 unit. And effective November 18th, you can do 3% down for 1 unit properties, but you can do 5% down for 2 unit, 3 unit, and 4 units. And let me tell you, as of a couple of weeks ago, if it was a 2 unit property, it would be 15% down. And if it was a 3 or 4 unit property, it would be 25. So the government has changed the game on the conventional down payment. Now it's only 5%. So if you find something, like my friend found something, and it was, they had converted her commercial space to an apartment. So now it's just a 3 unit. So you may be able to come in and do 5% down on a 3 unit. They're gonna be a little less strict if it's not commercial, and then you can always deconvert it back in the future, that apartment back. So a lot of the areas like 89th East, you will see a lot of those commercial spaces that have been converted to a actual apartment when it's really a storefront. So you got some options, and Lana is very creative. So once she knows what you want, she can really find out that. But we have conventional, and the difference between an FHA and a conventional loan is FHA has lower loan limits. So the conventional is about $150,000 for each unit more than an FHA loan. So you'll qualify for more on a conventional loan, of course, if you qualify, because your FHA versus conventional, FHA is gonna have a slightly stricter guidelines. We also have a loan product for VA. For our veterans, we could do 100% financing. You don't have to put any money down. You can still combine that with down payment assistance. And we waive our fees for veterans. So we waive our $1,490 application fee.
A question I get every day on that is can they use that for an investment property loan?
They cannot.
Yeah.
So VA is, you must live in the property for VA. Can you have a second VA? Yes, if your entitlement allows you to, but you do have to live in a property for any government program. I get that question every day on VA. So for VA, they do have to live in a property. Now they can house hack. So they can buy that first 4 unit, live there they're gonna have to live there for more than a year before their entitlement will reset. But if they've been in a VA for years, they may be able to come out of that VA, rent that apartment out, and then now buy another owner-occupied property. But the initial purchase will always be owner-occupied on VA. Did I answer that question right, Ms. Darnisha? Thank you.
Question, and VA loans apply to widows and widowers of veterans also, correct?
So that's a good question. The question was, does VA apply to widows and widowers of the veterans? So as long as they have gone through to the VA and they have a certificate of eligibility in their name, we are not part of the process. So if somebody passes away, they can't just come to us and say, we want my husband's VA. They will have to go to VA, have it transferred to them, and then they will come to us with the certificate of eligibility already. Yep, and that's just like VA. A lot of people think that they can have a non-married co-borrower on VA. They do have to be married for me. However, if they want to fight their fight with the VA, they call the VA, they can get added, and then once they're on certificate of eligibility, we just run the play to get it to the closing table. Yes.
Question on that mixed use. I don't know if anybody else caught that. If you got a mixed use owner that's struggling to sell that, because who is starting a business right now? Probably not a lot of people. So that mixed use, that storefront is vacant. They've got to do what in order to qualify that then as a traditional apartment building? Put in bathrooms, kitchens?
You mean, what do they have to do to qualify to count the rents?
Yes.
Converted?
Converted. So like, I mean, that would be like a kitchen, bathrooms. Do they have to show a formal lease then? Or do they have to show that it should be a apartment?
So if it's already rented as an apartment, we're gonna call it an apartment.
Okay.
Because we're gonna assume that permits was pulled in the past and all of that. So if somebody is living in there as an apartment, we are just gonna come in as the apartment and rent it. So, and we didn't talk about renovation yet, but I do also offer renovation loans on the mixed use. So if, say for instance, you wanna make repairs to that property, you would be repairing it like it's a 3 unit, right? To make it a commercial unit in the future, that is something you would have to do outside of what we have going on at guaranteed rate with the permit, requested permits and things like that that are allowed.
But that would be then, so for if you are, as a owner, struggling with getting the building sold, and you can't get a tenant in that first floor commercial space, consider putting the shower the kitchen.
Oh,
in,
yes.
Because I'm seeing that all over right now, is that the landlords are starting to say, well, wait, I should just turn this into residential, like my upper floors that I never have a problem renting out, because people need a place to live, they don't necessarily need a place to go work.
Exactly. So what Nick is saying is that you can actually refinance your mixed-use property and get a renovation loan or get a line of credit, and you can make those said repairs to the property, so that way you can get a tenant in there, or you can make it a more sellable property for the client in the future if they're in a position to list. So we can do refinance renovations to people that already own the properties, and we can always also do a purchase. I haven't been leaning on refinances lately because the rates have increased the most in the past year. So almost everyone that has purchased a home within 2 years, rate is lower than what we're gonna offer unless you're coming out of a hard money loan. Hard money loans are just loans that people went to the bank and received. They didn't have to go through any income verification, so they took a higher interest rate to get a short-term loan, and those are the individuals that need to refinance out, so they're happy with the rates that we have now. But if you're in a current loan situation and you purchased 4 years ago, most likely your rate is much lower than what it has today. Now, if you purchased your home 20 years ago and you never refinanced, then you may have today's rate, right? Because the rates were this rate at one point. It's just in the past 6 years, they got lower, and actually way lower, you know, than we ever seen. So of course, with history, it reverted back to the higher rates. So,
Natasha, can I ask, that goes along with Nick's question, this is kind of adding to it, but we've had this situation where, so they would have to get permits for the situation that Nick's talking about?
if permits are required, if you're updating kitchens and baths, you generally don't need a permit. You can do replace or repair.
I'm saying permit, I'm sorry, I mean to say that it's a 3 flat rather than a 2 flat. with
Zoning, maybe?
Zoning, I'm sorry.
So you can always, if on a renovation loan, you can always go down in units. When you go up in units, it gets tricky because the city of Chicago is really pushing ADUs, which is accessory dwelling units, and they're giving grant money for those. That just means you have a coach house or a basement and you're gonna fix it up, and it's not gonna be a legal unit. If you wanna make a unit legal, it has to have, and keep in mind, I am no attorney. This is just what I have learned, so definitely verify your information with an attorney. But you have to have 3 parking spaces. You have to have 7 or 7.5 foot ceiling height, and you have to have a front and a rear entrance. So if you don't have that, you cannot go up in units. If you do have that, then you would have to just provide us with a document from the city zoning department or a self-certified architect stating that the property can be a 3 unit, and then we could put you into a renovation loan and do that. Now, you can't do that if it's not a renovation loan, because the only way you can increase the units is through renovation. So if you're in a renovation loan, you can do it. But drum roll, they just changed the guidelines yesterday, I think. And y'all, they going crazy on the guideline change. I can't even keep up. So now they are allowing accessory dwelling units. Come on, my partner Nina here. She gonna tell y'all about this. You see, she popped out her chair, so y'all get a bonus 2 for 1 today.
Well, because I studied the guideline and I'm the one who prepped the team earlier today in our meeting. So FHA is now gonna allow the rental income for accessory dwelling units to qualify for single family homes.
Whoop, whoop. Did y'all hear that from Nina first?
So if we have, let's say there's a single family property that has a garden unit, and your client or you could not approve to purchase that home, let's say it was $350 and you were maxed out at $310, $325. Now the rental income from that garden unit can be used to qualify you to purchase that property. Okay, so make sure that you are tapping in to your agent and say, hey, can we look at that single family home that I really love, the huge brick bungalow that had an entrance and an exit, that had, 2 to 3 bedrooms, and see if we can qualify to purchase it. There are restrictions that do apply, right? The accessory dwelling unit cannot be bigger than the single family home, okay? So there are some restrictions, but Natasha can still help get you approved for those.
Let's go.
Yes.
So isn't it nice for your loan officers working all night and listen to you talking about a program that came out today?
With the ADUs, the square footage of the ADU doesn't count toward the overall square footage of the property, is that correct?
for value. So that's what we were trying to get clarity on today. So we are assuming no, because we're assuming it's going to stay the amount of units that it is, but we're going to be getting that information. So Nina was trying to get an update on that, but we were, from what we read, that we will be able to use it for self-sufficiency and for qualifying, but not for that, because that changes the value of the home.
I would love a follow-up seminar with you all on ADUs.
I was gonna ask what
Yeah, that means
ADUs.
So an ADU is an accessory dwelling unit. So have you ever seen, like, definitely right off the Dan Ryan, maybe between 67th and 74th, a lot of those houses, they have coach houses and people live in those coach houses back there. So that just means you have a unit in the back, and you see it a lot in different, Latina neighborhoods where you see the coach house in the back.
The most common that we know is the basement apartments or those attic apartments.
Yeah, basement. So people have an attic and they added a little weird kitchen in the back. That's accessory.
Okay.
Yeah, or in the basement, somebody just popped in the kitchen. They can only go out the back door.
Okay.
But they don't have a front door. That's just like, and now they're renting it to Uncle Lewis for $800, and he's paying. That's an accessory unit, meaning it's not legal, but it's accessorizing the house, giving a little value and a little income.
Is that the
I
ADUs?
understand that pilot program is expanding, so, we've got to change administration, but there is a expansion of it, so I think that would be a great follow-up too.
Yep, and they're
The city of
giving.
Chicago has been enforcing the ADU since last year. I've never seen a movement so fast. The prior administration had it on the floor, and this administration has gotten a little busy, but they are still for it, right? Because they realize that it is a unit that's needed and does get lived on.
Because we need housing.
I mean, you say enforcement, like enforcement in a good way.
Right,
Like
because before it was
enforcing
illegal.
The idea
Right.
that this is
Okay.
a pilot program that can expand.
And they're giving down payment assistance. They're giving, I thought it was $10,000 to some people to be
They
able.
got a grant for that.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
There's
it
a-
went really quick.
right. So it's a big deal, and now the government has matched it, and I thought that it was gonna take forever because Illinois just kind of started pushing this pilot program. But states like Florida, they've been doing this forever. So under our conventional guidelines, we were able to do ADUs on the conventional guidelines. So FHA just added it. So it's kind of weird that Chicago, because I'm licensed in 28 states, but Chicago is launching a pilot program, and now FHA has just matched up to what Chicago is doing. So it's kind of right on time. So all of those, we was like, oh, you gotta take the stove out the basement. Oh, you gotta take the stove out the coach house. Now we don't have to do that anymore with the new guideline change. So Nick is doing this series, so we definitely will come back and teach you guys about the ADUs and things like that, and we're gonna keep changing. It seems like although the interest rates are higher, the government is making a lot of changes. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've never been able to do an ADU on FHA, and I've never been able to put 5% down on a 3 to 4 unit. So once again, big changes. And the loan limit, if my memory is correct, on a 3 unit is 1.1 million, and a 4 unit is 1.4 or 1.34 million on a 4 unit. Right, 1.396,800. So now you can buy $1.3 million 4 unit property with only 5% down in Chicago. So go to the north side where the rents are $4,000 a month, get a 4 unit. Now you're bringing in $12,000 a month. So even if your mortgage is $9,000, you're still either living free and able to move and shake a little bit. So it's allowing us to move out of our communities and still be in a live for free situation. So I think it's a big deal because now people are coming to us to gentrify. Now we can gentrify and go to the north side and the other areas and get our kids into better school districts because now we can afford to get in those neighborhoods if it's only 5% down. So I think this is a huge movement that people are not even paying attention to, and you can use it to stay in the hood, right? Or you can use it to go and move into a different neighborhood that you couldn't afford before because you didn't have 25% down to get into that property, and you didn't have the opportunity to get that $4,500 in rent on the north side instead of the $1,600 in rent on the south side. So just to open it up and to give you guys just a short story, I had a client, Wanda, love Wanda, she's a veteran. She purchased a VA property because VA, we have no limit on the loan limit. So if you're a first time home buyer, she purchased a 4 unit The property was 1.3 million, or it was a very expensive property. She actually moved into the property. She lived on one floor. She rented all the rest of the floors out. Wanda is retired, okay? Her rent from each unit was like $4,000. Her mortgage on a building was like $6,500. She was making $1,500 a month, and then she was living rent-free in this brand new condo building because she took advantage of her VA loan, put 0% down. Now that building has already gained over $500,000 in equity, and she's talking about selling each unit as condos and doesn't know what she wants to do with it. But the point is that if she couldn't put 0% down, she would still be living in the first building I sold her on 78th near Inglewood or wherever it was, but it was not in a great neighborhood. So with that being said, she took advantage of the programs, and she was able to retire in a better neighborhood, less stress, where tenants were actually paying her the $4,000 a month, and able to live her very best life. So these programs can definitely set you free. And I'm gonna let you guys leave with these handouts, but I do wanna go over just the down payment assistance programs. So we do have the IDA grant, IHDA. A lot of people are hearing about it because they're doing more than just down payment assistance. They're helping people catch up on their rents and all types of stuff. So we do have the IDA loan, and I have that flyer right there, Lana. I put it on top of the, yep. So we have we have the IDA grant. The IDA grant is one of our better grants because the interest rate is lower. So right now, I think the interest rate with the IDA has gone between like 7.6 and 7.8 for FHA. But with that being said, IDA does offer up to $7,500, actually up to $10,000. They keep changing the programs. The minimum credit score requirement for IDA is a 640. I can do a 580 on an FHA loan, but in order to get the IDA money, you need to have a 640 credit score. They go up to 2-unit property, so a 1-unit or a 2-unit property, FHA or conventional, and you can get $6,000, $7,500, or $10,000. So the way the money works is they go 4% not to exceed $6,000. On the purchase price. That money, if you live in the property for a certain period of time, you don't have to pay it back. The $7,500, you will pay it back when you sell it. The $10,000, you have to pay back $83.32 a month at 0% interest until it's paid off. 120 months, 10 years. So why would we use an IDA loan? The first reason you would use the IDA loan is because the interest rate is lower than market in most situations. Right? The second reason is that you can get the down payment assistance. Now, if all you need is the $6,000, you definitely want to use the $6,000 grant because you don't have to pay it back if you live in the property for the amount of time. It's 10 years, Nina? 5 years, they changed it to 5. So it's 5 years. So you just have to live in the property for 5 years, and then what they do is they'll put a lien on your property, and after 5 years, they're probably going to ask you for documentation, tax returns to show you live there, and then they will release the lien. So that will be free money to you and a lower interest rate. In addition to your IDA, you can ask the seller to pay your closing costs. So if you're in a VA loan, it's 4% the seller can pay. You're purchasing a house for $100,000, they can pay $4,000. If it's conventional, it's 3%, which is $3,000. And if it's FHA, it's 6%, which is $6,000. So now you can get the down payment assistance program, and you can get the seller to pay your closing costs. On the IDA grant, you're putting 1% down. No matter how many grants and credits you get, you have to come to the table with 1%. If your earnest money, if you purchase the house for $150 and your earnest money is $1,500, as long as you don't get any money back at the table, you've met your 1%. So that $1,500 or 1% would include the earnest money, your application fee for your appraisal, you financially into the property, 1%, not counting the home inspection, right? So that's what the IDA loan consists of. Does anybody have any questions as it relates to the IDA? Because you looking like, did you have any questions? Okay, you like, I know that program, it's been around for a while. Any questions? 640, 1 to 2 unit, okay? So then the next down payment assistance program I have is called the CHA program. So CHA is giving $20,000 in down payment assistance. $20,000. And you can combine it with the IDA, which means we can get you $26,000. Now the trick with the CHA program is you have to be a first-time home buyer. The IDA, you do not have to be a first-time home buyer. You can actually own one other property and still get the IDA, okay? But on the CHA program, you do have to be a first-time home buyer. In addition to that, the property has to be within Chicago. It has to be used as your primary residence, and you can go up to 1, 2, 3, or 4 units, which is huge. So the only way you can combine it with the IDA is if you qualify for IDA and you qualify for the Chicago Housing Authority program. Now, we've never, and I'm not gonna say never because MMRP was here for a short time, but we have not had a down payment assistance program up to 4 units in a very, very long time. So in this program, you can go to 4 units. In addition to that, you have to take their homebuyer course. So once again, you always want to talk to your loan officer to make sure you're not sitting in the course you don't need. So they will require that, and you are going to have to contribute $3,000 into the transaction of your own funds. So no matter what we did with the grants, you still have to make that commitment because they want you to be invested into your property. But we can use this money to put more down payment, to help you just maneuver your loans to get the best interest rate. We can use it for all different types of things that's gonna help you to buy the interest rate down, to do what we need to do for you to get into that particular property. So you do have to have that savings requirement. Now the loan limits for this program are small, depending on how many you have in your household. So if you are a 1 unit household size, 1 person household size, $61,000. So if you make $61,800 or less, then you can qualify for this. And if it's not, a 3 to 4 unit and combine it with IDA. For 2 household, it's $70,600. 3 is $79,450. 4 is $88,250. Just to kind of give you an idea. And that means it's you, your husband, 2 kids, that's 4. Or you and your 3 kids, that's 4. Or you, your mom, whatever you're claiming on your tax returns pretty much is what they're doing to go off your dependents. 8 people in your household, $116,000 is the loan limit. Now the IDA grant, and I'm just going off memory because it keeps changing, IDA loan limit is about the household income is about 126, you know, to 134,800. So now it's gone up to 134,800. So you could make 134,000 and still get the $10,000 IDA grant. So you don't have to be making 61,000 to qualify. Now I have had clients that made, you know, close to the amount and they were off by a few dollars. So we try to get an exception if we can, but you do have to be in the loan limits for this particular program. This is the newest down payment assistance program, and the glory of this program is you're getting market interest rates. So they're not giving you a different rate sheet to see, oh, we're just gonna charge them extra so we can make our money back on the back. You're getting real market rates on this program. The most exciting thing about this program is when it came out, it was only for conventional loans. You can only get this grant program with a conventional loan. Now they have changed it where now you can do conventional, VA, or FHA. So this program is now for everybody. So if you guys are not listening, what's happening in Chicago right now, we can buy a 1, 2, 3, or 4 unit property. 3 to 4 unit properties, which we want to use for house hacking. You can put 5% down, and you can get $20,000 from CHA if you qualify in the income limits, and you can get Lana to negotiate all your closing costs being paid. It's time to buy a house, y'all. So even though the market is absolutely crazy, you guys can take advantage. A lot of investors are scared right now. I do renovation loans, and you guys have that flyer as well. When I say 203K, you say all day, because we close in 203Ks all day over here. And we can combine a renovation loan with some of these programs. So you want to kind of ask us, what is the property? What do you need the property to do for you? And you can take advantage of all the programs that are available for you. So even though the interest rates are higher, and I always tell my clients, buy what you can afford. We don't know about the things that are not on your loan application. We don't know if y'all like me and got a kid in Howard that's costing me a whole mortgage payment right now every month. We don't know if you go to the casino at night. You know, we don't know what your expenses are. So you want to make sure, and I say this out of my heart, like, make sure you can qualify for your home. Make sure you can afford your payment. And don't think rates are going to go down, because they probably will. But if they don't, you want to make sure you're in a situation where you can afford your house today. And if the interest rates go down and you refinance, then now you're just in a better situation. So make sure that you can afford your house, because it is the most important. The market is weird right now, but I will tell you this. if you have not paid attention to every weird thing that has happened, the government has came back with a snapback on some type of program, some type of relief. And I'm waiting on the PPP loan for loan officers. Right, with the realtors and loan officers, we waiting on the PPP for the market because, you know, everything has changed in our market. So just keep watching because real estate makes the world go round. The world cannot operate without housing. So the government has to do something to fix it. So don't run from it, you know, run with it, pay attention, and whatever you buy, just make sure you can afford it. Because at the end of the day, if you don't buy a house in 30 years, you're gonna still be paying my mortgage, right? Because I'm gonna keep buying. And then people don't understand, they think we just buying the houses to say we buying them. No, when you get ready to retire and your house is paid off and the government has frozen your taxes, you can wake up in the morning, get your Social Security check, and go play bid whist or live your best life. You know what I'm saying? But until then, you know, you don't want to have to continue to go to work and continue to figure it out. So people don't understand. They're like, oh, I'll just pay my rent. Well, what are we going to do in 30 years after you didn't pay somebody's entire mortgage off? Think of how many people that you know that has been renting like Nick for 12 years and could have paid an extra $400 and paid that whole property off, or $600 in 15 years. And now you look back and now they've gained $300,000. So we're here today on this series. I know I've been talking to you guys for a long time. I see a question in the back.
Yeah, when you were talking about the, that last one, oh man, I got a terrible memory. But you kept saying the loan amount, but you were referring to, people's income. So with that last one that you were talking about, the loan amount?
The 134, so your income cannot exceed 134,000.
Okay, but the loan limit, is there a limit on the loan amount?
There is a limit. Nina, you want to pull up the limit? Yes. I don't know about her, but there is a limit. I think it jumped up to 412 now. It was 348. We're gonna pull the loan limits up for you. See, look at Nina being in the office. How she be helping out. But she's gonna pull it up on their website. So IDA changes their stuff on a regular basis, so it's hard to memorize it, but it is a loan limit, so we'll get that for you. But they are on the higher side. And we have had situations, so, and it's gonna be tricky, Nina, because we have a track. So we have a certain loan limit regularly, and then they have an address we can put it in, and if it's in a census tract, then it qualifies for more. So you always wanna ask your loan officer, so we looked that up for you. And sometimes I actually had a situation where IDA was able to give me an exception because it was right there on the border, so they let me go higher on my 2 flat. I think we needed to get to 5 something, but go ahead with the loan limit.
So on the maximum purchase price, so this is not a loan limit, this is the maximum that they would allow you to purchase. On a single unit, it's $581,176.
It went up. It went up. It used to be 349.
On a 2 units, it's $716,111. These are non-targeted areas. And if you're in a targeted area, the single unit is at $688,104. Okay, and the 2 unit is $853,043. So why would somebody want to go this route? The lower interest rate might be more favorable. Your client might not necessarily need the $6,000, but they might take advantage of a 0.5% lower interest rate and reduced mortgage insurance.
Yeah.
Is that when you pay back on that?
So with the IDA, the $6,000 one you don't have to pay back. The $7,500 one you do, but you pay it back when you sell, or I'm gonna guess within 30 years. And then the $10,000 you pay $83.33 per month. So as you see, if I would have guessed the loan limits, I would have went back to when they was 349, and I don't even think that was more than 6 months ago. So you always have to check, and you can go to ihda.org and you can see things like that. But once again, you can always call us. We can answer those questions for you right away.
Quick question. Okay, so with the 203K loans and in regards to mixed use.
All day, no, just wait.
The construction loan can only be applied to the residential portion of the property, correct? Or can it be applied to both residential and commercial?
So mixed use is a hot topic tonight. So the question was, if we're doing a mixed use property, can the renovation be done to the commercial space and the residential? And the answer is, it can only be done, we can only make repairs to the mixed use space if it's the mechanicals. So like if you have to run the plumbing for the building, or if you have to run something that affects the entire building, but they will make you, you know, rehab it just to that concrete box. So the mechanicals, yes, but no drywall. Like if you put a beauty shop in there, we can't run the plumbing for the beauty shop. So you have to work with your contractor so that way, you know, you can work those numbers out.
Fix that leak in Clark Street.
But take advantage of these mixed uses because it's a really good thing.
So how are you, so you're not able to use the 203 loan to convert a mixed use into, just residential?
So let me tell you, you can use a 203K loan to do just about anything. So definitely you can convert it to residential. We like that. That's not something that you have to get extra approval on. You can just do that right away. It can have an X on the building. It can have mold. It can have mildew. It can be terrible. The only thing you can't do is tear it down and sacrifice the foundation. So if you tore the property down and the foundation was the same, you can actually rebuild that house on a 203K. So the sky is the limit on a 203K. You can have building violations. You can have a lien on title as long as it's a permanent injunction with a closed case. I can take that lien on the property and still close the property as long as you include all the repairs that are listed on that injunction in your bid, and I can utilize that and still close that property with that lien on title, but it has to be a closed case. Because open case means you can have more violations coming. Closed case means they left you alone for a little while and you have time to fix the problem. Any questions?
Okay, and you had mentioned how the government have changed things. Back some years ago, there was a property that I was managing, and it was a 6-unit building when it was purchased.
Mm-hmm.
But then the city came in some years later, and one of the units was in the basement. It was a 1-bedroom unit, and it only had one way in and out.
It was an accessory dwelling unit. Come on, let's talk about it.
And they had to, the owner had to deconvert that property at that time. So are you saying that some of that has changed?
Yes, so what she's saying is she has a 6-unit property with an illegal unit in the basement, and which we're calling it.
It was actually 2 legal units in the basement, we thought.
Right, so if it doesn't have.
The 1-bedroom wasn't legal, the 2-bedroom was.
Right, so one of the units was an accessory dwelling unit. It was a unit basically that was illegal that they were getting rent for that wasn't up to the code of the city of Chicago to be a legal unit. Now through the city pilot program, they're not gonna have as many problems with that. So now they're making it easier, you know, for the clients. In that particular situation on a renovation loan, you could have came in there and removed the stove. The stove is what made it illegal. So you could have had that property finished up down there with no stove and it would have been legal. But as soon as you added the stove is when you made it an illegal unit. So as a lender, we would have just had you cap that gas line off and put cabinets in front of it and not have the illegal unit. Now, that is how we would have, you know, if it wasn't because we only do 1 to 4. But in that particular situation, the city, once they get involved, they want to see, because most of the illegal units, nobody pulled permits. So then the city can say, I want you to rip everything out because you didn't pull permits. So hopefully you don't get that type of inspector, but now that we have the ADU option, you can go back and kind of fix that. And you brought something up which I think works for a lot of people too, but if you purchased a 6-unit and you wanted to make it a 4-unit, or you purchased the 8-unit and you want to make 4 duplexes, you could do that on a renovation loan. So a lot of times when people are out looking and they, you know, anything over 4 units, you have to put 25% down. Sometimes you find a nice 5-unit for lower than what the 4 units are going for because it's not coming up in everybody's search. Well, you can take that 5-unit, take that stove out and make that 5th unit just a finished living space. Now it's a 4-unit, so you went from 25% down to 3.5% down. So you could do some amazing things with the 203K. And I will tell you, like, Nina and I are working on a non-for-profit organization for the 203K because we really want to see how we can get with the city to help you guys expedite your permits and things like that. So those are things we're working on. But with that being said, we want you guys to understand, like, renovation loans are tough. You know, it's hard to find good contractors. You know, I don't stand on the stage and make it seem like it's not people in this loan that are having problems. So if you really want to do a renovation loan, I advise you to make sure you go to those city meetings and see how you can get some connections with the city to kind of get that support. I advise you to get 4 contractors in your Rolodex. Go look at their work after COVID, not before COVID, because a lot of people went out of business during COVID, and understand how much things cost. You cannot fix your basement for $8,000 anymore unless you are just extremely lucky. You are gonna pay $20,000 to $60,000 to renovate a 1,200 square feet basement. Cutting them floors out, running the plumbing, it is expensive. So have a good idea of how much things cost. And I think if you do that, you'll definitely master, because if you negotiate properly on your purchase, then when you get in a loan, you won't be like, oh, I paid too much for the property. You want to have that information to be dangerous, and I'm sure Nick is bringing that on a series where we could talk about some contractors, some consultants, and we can really kind of go into a property on Zoom for you guys and show you how much things cost on a renovation loan, so that way you could really see and don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to be stuck. I just did a renovation loan. I was a size 2 last year. It was very stressful, and it was my own loan. And although I can close a renovation loan in 30 to 37 days, I am not a contractor, and I did learn. So you're talking to somebody who has been through all of the pains. So my job is to help you not go through what I went through. And now I'm trying to buy the house right next door. So I'm just crazy like that. But this is all the information I have for you today.
I'm not trying to cut you off. I just wanted to say that Natasha did one for us. Natasha did one.
I thought my time was up when
No,
I saw
I'm never
Lana coming.
I'm never cut her off. She has too much information to cut her off. Good information. But we had a house and a gym, and I could not.
That's how we met, girl. That was not crazy.
That's how I got in the door in this nice place. And we were stuck. Me and Victoria were in there like showing it to people, like overlook it to gym. It was an entire gym they had been running for like 10
Not
years.
GEM, GYM. I want to be clear. Like,
Gym in a house?
yes.
An entire gym, looked better
They
than
took
Valley.
rooms away and put equipment.
Took kitchens out. There was nothing but a gym. It looked like better than we over here at
Real equipment.
Real equipment.
Bars,
Like,
everything was cushion, everything was
The floor
flat
had-
mat.
one of the problems was the floor, because people were jumping. He had put extra support, and that support was bowing from the unit downstairs. So he decided to move to the unit downstairs and use 2 floors for his gym business. It worked for him as a single guy. When he got engaged, that wasn't gonna work anymore, and then he was like selling. Didn't even tell me he had a gym. Although I had worked out there in the past. I had worked out in this gym a long time before, and when I drove up, I kept saying, it can't be this address. Used to be a gym. And the garage was a gym. The yard was a gym. Everything had those.
I wish we had pictures.
He done got some zoning did or something.
No, ain't no zoning.
He was out by now.
He did that after
was
he
off
house hacked. He lived in that for a little while with 3.5, and then he turned that into his business.
Yeah. And I don't think there was a permit or a zoning or nothing the first, okay?
I don't know about
that. Let's not talk about that, zoning the first. And those little things you had to do this, okay, all of that. And we got nobody. Like nobody could even get their mind wrapped around being able to move in a space like that when you're just looking at a gym. And when we did an open house, we had a bunch of people show up. We did like a 203K open house. Like she came with a contractor. She had her hard hat on. I was wearing it. And we had a lot of people. She got some other loans from it, which was a bonus on top of it. But people needed to be in the space. Sometimes you gotta be in there to understand, like, I was interior design first, one of my first 10 degrees. I can see things become something. But if some people need to actually hear the contractor say, we're gonna knock this wall, or can we knock this wall? Can we put a wall back? Whatever. So she's really good if you have, for the agents, if you have problem properties, have her come in and do that. If you're a seller and you have an awkward house or it needs issues, you should do the same thing. But also there is one that is streamlined, right?
Yes, so we
Just
have.
so we can say the streamline is a little easier than the regular 203K, right?
Yes, so on renovation loans, we have the FHA Streamline and Standard. The Streamline will allow you to you can't spend more than $35,000 in total. And it allows you, once you get permits, to get half of the money once you get the permits, and the other half of the money when you finish, which contractors love. But you can't do anything structural, and you can't spend more than $35,000, right? Then we have the full, where you can go all the way up to the loan limits. but the contractor starts his job with his own funds, and then they are compensated along the way. So that's our two FHA 203K loans. But then we have, which is insanity with the new changes. I'm so excited. I haven't even started marketing this program. Like, I haven't had a chance to even really get my arms around it. But now on the conventional, I offer Freddie and Fannie renovation. So Freddie Home Possible, Fannie Home Style. Now we can go 2, 3, 4 units, 5% down, higher limits, and add renovation to the property. So that is insane crazy, because 1.1 million gets you into a 3 unit and 1.3 million gets you into a 4 unit, whereas at FHA, at the 4 unit, I'm almost certain was at about 7 something, not more than 809. So there is a big difference. You're talking about 800,000 versus 1.3 million in purchase power, and you only have to put 5% down, and you add the renovation to it. So they just changed the game as it relates to being able to really get into this property. For all my veterans, we do offer VA renovation. We can go up to 1% of the purchase price or 50,000 in renovation, whichever is greater. So if you're buying a property for 900,000, we can go 90,000 in renovation. But if it's under that, our max, the max renovation would be 50,000 if it doesn't exceed 1% of that purchase price. And that's a new guideline as well. So I know we have a lot of information. I try not to be up here longer than 25 minutes. But if you guys have any questions, we went over like 5 programs, because Nick was like, I want them to have every single thing on the market. So we have a lot, everyone. You can follow me at Loans by Natasha on Instagram. Nina here, you can follow her, Life Loans by Nina on Instagram, and we are here to answer all your questions and get you into that home and help you utilize this program to build generational wealth. And
Can I just pop up for 1 second? Hello again. What an amazing, I gotta tell you, in 25 years of selling real estate and in at least a dozen years of doing events, I have never gotten more content and learned more in an hour than out of this. So thank you, both of you, because this is a lot of knowledge. So, huge amount of knowledge. So, for those of you guys at home, if you did not notice that we were talking about all different types of property, and you're like, well, my agent set me up on one search, and maybe wanted a different thing, and what's the private listing network, or what's CoStar, what's LoopNet, we got it all at Exit Strategy. So that's something very important. We have an app called ZenList, and we have a whole commercial department. We've got everything you need to get involved in all types of property. You've got to get with an agent that understands what type of lender they need and you need, and the conversations that each individual conversation will be custom. This is not a one-stop shop in terms of like everything's going to fit everybody. I'm going to have a different need, then Natasha's going to have a different need, then Lana or Victoria's going to have a different need for what they're looking to do next. But you've got to have a right team in place, and we hope we are that team for you. I believe we are that team for you, because what's happening right now is the prices aren't going down, but the options are going up, because the government does realize where we are at in terms of interest rates and in terms of prices, and they're working with us. You just got to work with the right agent. So I hope it's us. I hope it is these wonderful ladies. Thank you guys very much for being here tonight, and we're going to open it up after we turn off the video for more personalized questions. If you're at home, get with your Exit Strategy Realty agent and with these wonderful folks about the financing and the real estate process. Thank you.